The truck stopped him in Wyoming. Words. My name's Ray Whitaker. Folks just call me Ray. 58 years old, born and raised in a little corn dust town outside Grand Island, Nebraska. I've been driving big rigs since I was 21. First a beat up Peterbilt my daddy left me when the cancer took him. Now a shiny red Kenworth with more chrome than a Vegas showroom. I know every mile of I from Omaha to Salt Lake like the scars on my knuckles. I can tell you where the deer jump out near Sydney, where the cops hide with Ritter outside Cheyenne, where the coffee's strong enough to wake a dead man at the Little America. But there's one stretch mile marker, just west of Rawlins, Wyoming, where I still pull over every damn time the sun starts bleeding orange across the sky. Ain't for the view, though the Rockies do look like God took a bite out of the horizon. I pull over 'cause of what I saw one January night in. Froze my soul solid, and nodded out in a way no whiskey ever could. See, I was hauling a load of John Deere parts from Des Moines to Reno. 48,000 pounds of green iron rattling behind me. I'd been rolling 18 hours straight black coffee, sunflower seeds, and a cassette of Merle Haggard keeping me company. My eyes felt like sandpaper. My back was screaming. I promised myself just one more hour. Then I'd grab a bunk at the Sinclair. But the Kenworth had other plans. White passed the Sinclair sign. She coughed like a 2-pack-a-day smoker, shuddered, and rolled to a stop on the shoulder. Steam hissing from under the hood like a dragon with a grudge. I popped the latch, climbed down into minus 12 air that slapped me sober. Radiator hose split clean open. Rain cool and pissing onto the snow like alien blood. I cast a blue streak that would have made my mama wash my mouth with soap, even at my age. No salsa, of course not. This is Wyoming. Nearest town was 2 hours if the roads were clear, 4 if they weren't. I grabbed my kit, patched the hose with duct tape and a prayer, but the engine wouldn't turn over. Battery was deader than Elvis. So there I stood, breath fogging up, watching the last light die behind the mountains, feeling smaller than a gnat on a windshield. That's when the headlights of the truck stop glowed like a lighthouse. Half a mile back. I could walk it. I slung my duffel, locked the rig, and trudged through the snow like a man headed to his own funeral. The flying Jew was the usual circus lot lizards smoking by the fuel island, a pack of Harleys under the awning, some teenager trying to stuff a whole Cinnabon in his face. I stubbed snow off my boots, nodded at the cashier girl with purple hair and a nose ring who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else seen headed for the coffee island. Out was fresh. Miracle. I poured a styrofoam cup big enough to bathe a cat in, added 3 creams, 2 sugars, and leaned against the counter like a man who'd earned the right to be tired. That's when I saw him. 5 men. Different ages, different skin, same quiet purpose. They'd pushed 2 tables together near the back, past the arcade games and the wall of energy drinks. One wore a Carhartt jacket like mine, beard frosted with snow. Another had a Detroit Tigers cap pulled low. Third guy was skinny, maybe 25, hoodie saying it made me funny. Fourth was older, turban the color of desert sand. Fifth was a kid could be more 19 rockin' Timberlands, and a nervous smile. They weren't loud, weren't preaching, weren't even talking. Just moving like they'd done this 1,000 times. One pulled a rolled up meth from his backpack, blue and white, frayed at the edges. Another grabbed a couple paper towels from the dispenser, wet 'em under the sink. They formed a line, shoulder to shoulder, facing the big plate glass window where the last sliver of sun was drowning in purple. They'd seen Muslims before. Hell, they'd hauled freight out of Dearborn plenty. But always in a mosque or auntie. Never in a truck stop next to a rack of beef jerky and a busted in his back man. The older guy turban checked his phone, nodded. Then it started. A voice. Not loud. Not showy. Just clear, like creek water over stone. Came from the skinny kid in the hoodie. Arabic, I guess. Rose and fell like wind through pine trees. I didn't know the words, but my skin knew the tune. My coffee went cold in my hand. Time did the thing it does in Wyoming, stretched thin, then snapped. The diner noise faded. The clink of forks, the beep of the gas pump, the announcer on the yammering about Bronco's Tritus gun. Just that voice, and the crunch of snow boots as a couple more drivers wandered in, saw what was happening, and quietly moved to the side. They bowed. Hands on knees. Stud. Hands on chest. Yep. Foreheads to the floor. I ain't proud of it, but I stared. Couldn't help it. Grown men rough men who could probably bench press a Bigfoot in their faces in the dust like it was the most natural thing in the world. No shame. No hesitation. The Carhartt guy's beard brushed the mat. The kid's Timberlands stuck out behind him like he was praying in mid-sprint. And the peace on their faces, man. I ain't seen peace like that since my dog Rusty died in my lap back in. These fellas looked unplugged. Like they'd stepped out of their own skins and into something bigger. I don't know how long it lasted. 5 minutes. Yeah. When they sat back on their heels, whispered something soft, then folded their mats, the diner noise rushed back in like a busted dam. Purple Hair was staring too. A biker with a Confederate flag tattoo on his neck gave a respectful nod. Nobody clapped. Nobody filmed. It just was. They grabbed coffee. Black. No cream, no sugar. The turban guy paid for all 5 with a crumpled 20. Then they headed out, boots crunching snow, breath fogged in the air same as any other drivers. Except they weren't. I stood there like a statue till Purple Hair snapped. You gonna pay for that coffee or adopt it? I slapped a 5 on the counter and followed him out. Didn't know why. Just did. The cold hit me again, but I barely felt it. They were loading up in a beat-up Freightliner Cascadia Michigan plates. Mud flaps saying Ella is the best of planners. The kid in the Timberlands was checking tire pressure. Her heart was scraping ice off the windshield. I cleared my throat. "'Excuse me, fellas. Name's Ray. My Kenworth dead back there. Radiator hose. You got jumper cables?" Her heart turned out his name was Jamal grinned under his beard. "We got cables, brother. And a generator if she needs convincing. Give us 10. 10 minutes later, we're under my hood. Jamal's hands moving like a surgeon. The kid named Tariq holds the flashlight. The turban guy, Mr. Same year, psych name, Muslim heart go figure, prays under his breath while he tightens clamps. 10 minutes after that, the Kenworth roars like a lion with a thorn pulled out at its paw. I tried to pay him. Jamal waved me off. Pay it forward, man. That's the rule. I stuck out my hand. Least let me buy y'all dinner. To cross the street's got a killer patty melt. They looked at each other. Tariq shrugged. We already ate. But coffee. Always room for coffee. So there we were. 6 strangers in a booth sticky with syrup. Me, 5 Muslims. And a waitress named Darla who kept refilling our cups like it was her mission from God. I learned their stories between sips. Jamal was from Chicago, ex-Marine, old hazmat now. Sir. Singh drove with his son, ran produced from California to Toronto. Tariq was the comedian that opened mix in Detroit, when he wasn't driving. The quiet one, Yusuf, was a dad of 4, sent every dime home to Handtramp. And the hoodie kind of Mernon teen, first year on the road, still got Aiken and a current app on his phone. I told them about my rig, about my ex-wife Linda who took the house and the dog, about my boy in Colorado who don't call no more, about how the road's been my church, my bar, my therapist for 30 years. They listened like I was reciting scripture. Then I asked the question burning a hole in my tongue. Y'all do that prayer every trip? Jamal nodded. 5 times, brother. Dawn, noon, afternoon, sunset, night. Doesn't matter if we're in a mosque or a cornfield. Tariq grinned. Last week, prayed in a Walmart parking lot in Nebraska. Lady thought we were breakdancing. Sir. Sin sipped his coffee. The world don't stop. But we do. 5 times. Reminds us who's really in the driver's seat. I leaned back. I grew up Baptist. Mama dragged me to church every Sunday. but 5 times a day, man, I can't even remember to take my blood pressure pill. Amir till then spoke up. It ain't about perfect, Uncle Ray. It's about trying. 1 prayer's better than 0. 2's better than 1. Uncle Ray. He'd barely old enough to shave calling me uncle. I felt something crack in my chest. Well, dropped the check. I grabbed it before they could. Told ya, my treat. Outside, the sky was black glass, stars sharp enough to cut. My Kenworth idled smooth. I shook hands all around. Jamal slipped me a business card of nowhere trucking. Detroit, me with the little crescent moon logo. You ever in the deep, look us up. We'll show you a real iftar. I laughed. Iftar. Right fast during Ramadan. Best food you ever ate. I watched him pull out. Taillights disappearing into the dark. Then I climbed in my cab, fired up the bunk heater, and sat there. Engine take in. Merle Haggard singing soft on the tape deck. And for the first time in years, I didn't turn the key. I just sat. The dashboard clock said, sunset prayer time, I guess. I thought about them fellas bowing in that diner. Thought about how Jamal's hand chants that could crush a man's windpipe in Fallujah folded gentle when he prayed. Thought about Amir, 19 and already wiser than me at 58. I killed the radio. Rolled down the window. Cold air rushed in, smelling of pine and diesel. I looked eastward. Mecca, they called it. Mecca. Whatever. I didn't know the words. Didn't know the moves. But I knew tired. Knew lonely. Knew the age of a life measured in miles and mistakes. So I did the only thing I could think of. I bowed my head. Right there in the cab. Forehead almost touching the steering wheel. And I talked. Pod, it's Ray. Been a while. I ain't got fancy words. Ain't got a mat. Just a broke down trucker with a busted hose and a heart that's been running on fumes. I saw something tonight. Saw men remember you when the world forgot him. I don't know if I can do 5 times a day. Hell, I might not manage 5 times a year. But tonight in stopping. Just for a minute. To say thanks. For the patch. For the coffee. For them fellas. And if you're listening, help me remember too. I sat quiet. Wind whistling through the cab. Snow tapping on the windshield. And for the first time since Linda left, I didn't feel alone. Didn't sleep much that night. Pulled into Renault at dawn, delivered the load, grabbed a shower and a burger. But something had shifted. Like a giraffe finally slipping into place. Next trip I'm at to Sacramento, I found myself glancing at the clock. Noon prayer. I was outside North Platte, corn stubble for miles. I pulled over on a gravel turnout, killed the engine and sat. Didn't bow. Just closed my eyes. Said thanks for the sunshine. For the load. For the fact my arthritis wasn't acting up. Felt stupid at first. Then did. I sprang. I added sunset. Always at that same mile marker. I'd park, climb down, face east. Sometimes I'd lean against the fender. Sometimes I'd sit on the curb. Never got fancy, no mat, no Arabic. Just rain in the sky, and whatever words bubbled up. One evening, a Wyoming trooper pulled up behind me, lights flashing. I figured I was busted for loitering. Officer Gonzalez stepped out, hand on his holster. Everything okay, sir? I straightened. Yes, sir. Just taking a break. He eyed me, then the horizon. Sun was a molten coin. You praying? I swallowed. Trying to. He nodded slow. My wife's Catholic. Does rosary in the carpool line. Says it keeps her sane. He tipped his hat. Carry on, Mr. Whitaker. Safe travels. He laughed. I stood there stunned. Then laughed, first real laugh in years. Word spread, I guess. Truckers talk. Next time, I hit the flying D. Purple Harriel named Kaylee waved me over. Ray, right. Those guys asked about you. Left something. She handed me a small wooden box. Inside a prayer mat. Blue and white. Brand new. Note in Tariq's handwriting for the road. No pressure. Just love. The I crew. I kept it in the bunk. Never unrolled it in public. But sometimes, in a rest area in Iowa or a Walmart lot in Nevada, I'd spread it on the sleeper mattress. Ayo. Touch my forehead to the fabric. Whisper thanks. Ask forgiveness. Cry sometimes quiet, so the lot wizards wouldn't hear. Bent convert. Still love Jesus. Still cuss when the scales are overweight. Still sneak a beer when I'm off duty. At 5 times a day became rhythm. Like the hum of the engine. Like breath. I hit 60. Retired the Kenworth. Bought a little cabin outside North Platte, same cornfields I grew up in. Got him up from the shelter. Named him Jamal. He'd visits sometime as Amir's 21 now engaged. Still driving. Brings his fiancée. Teaches me how to make biryani that don't taste like scorched regret. Every sunset, I step onto the porch. Face east. The Nebraska sky's bigger than Wyoming's, but the peace is the same. I don't bow no more at knees won't allow it. But I lift my hands. Close my eyes. And remember. Remember 5 men in a truck stop who stopped the world for 5 minutes. Remember a God who doesn't need a church to hear you. Remember that strength ain't in standing tall, it's in knowing when to kneel. Sometimes the phone rings. Another driver. Heard the story. Wants to know if it's okay to pull over at mile marker. I tell him yeah. Tell him bring coffee. Tell him that's optional. But the heart ain't. Last week, Kaylee texted me a photo. Find the sunset. 10 drivers now. Matt's in a line. 1 empty spot at the end. Caption, saved you a place, Uncle Ray. I smiled so big my cheeks hurt. I ain't Muslim. Never will be. But every evening when the sky turns fire, I stop. I remember. And somewhere out on I-5 brothers taught a crusty old trucker that the road ain't just asphalt and miles. It's prayer. And I'm still driving.